Welcome to the Volkswagen Polo GT TSI. This is not your ordinary Volkswagen Polo, this is the beefed up version with a much more powerful engine and most importantly the Dsg Gearbox. Now this Dsg Gearbox is a first in its segment. How? We'll just tell you in detail. This gearbox essentially has 7 gears. Now 7 automatic gears, so you don't really need to worry about changing gears at all. It pretty much works like most other gearboxes. The modes are pretty similar. You have parking, you have reverse, you have neutral, you have the drive mode with the manual modes here and the sport mode. Now this essentially is a more powerful version of the drive mode where the pickup becomes a little faster. So it's quite useful if you're driving in stop-start traffic for starters. Now the engine is a 1.6 litre petrol, so the power is a lot more, and this gearbox is doing very well as far as that is concerned. Like for example, if you're driving at about 70 kilometers an hour, well, you don't really know which gear the car is running in, but and for an automatic car you don't really need to bother either. But if you really press down on the throttle at that time, the pickup is pretty much what you would get in a car, in most other cars, when you're driving up from 40 to let's say 50 or from 30 to 50. So it's that punch at the top end of the range which kind of makes all the difference with the 7 gears. Traditional, true to being an automatic, this car has the big brake pedal and the throttle. Nothing else. There's no clutch, so you don't need to worry about changing gears at all, as an automatic would suggest. Now one thing that I realized when driving this is the brakes are extremely powerful and sensitive, as is the power which is pushing you forward. It's a 1.6 litre engine. It's a very powerful car. There's a lot of torque. It's very good in terms of pickup and driving. The brakes are extremely powerful. If you're shifting from another car to this one, just be a little careful at first, because even the slightest push of the pedal can be enough to completely bring the car to a stop. So that's one thing you need to be careful about. Apart from that, let me just talk about the cabin space here. It's extremely good. You have the 2-din music system here with the big screen. You have your AC controls sitting here with the display. You have your music system controls here. These keys will always have functionality mentioned on the screen when the system is switched on. We will not switch on the system at the moment because we won't be able to do justice to the sound quality through this particular recording. But what we can say is, well, I personally drive an i20. I really like the speakers and the sort of bass it kind of provides without an additional amplifier and a subwoofer. This one is 2 steps further. So if you're buying this car, you won't need to rush off to an accessory shop to get an amp and a subwoofer put in. The speakers are nice, the dialogue clarity is good, the vocals are nice, the bass is there, and you're pretty much set for what is a very good music experience. In terms of drivability, I'm sitting here on the driver's seat. The viewing is extremely nice, at least as far as viewing on the front and the sides is concerned. There's nothing blocking the view. The A-pillar here doesn't really get into the way at all. So if a cyclist suddenly decides to come in your path, you will know what's about to happen. However, while the side mirrors are very good, the problem is with this rear view mirror. Now if you look carefully, you have the headrests at the back which are kind of getting into the way. What you can only see is between the 2 headrests, so that's something which is a little annoying and you need to get used to it. The steering wheel has a chunky feel to it. It's not a very big wheel, but it's quite solid. The leather wrapped thing has a very premium touch to it. You have your phone controls here for if you pair your phone with Bluetooth. This is pretty much keeping you away from the phone. You don't need to take your eyes off the road. A safety feature and a convenience feature. All in all, I really like this door handle on all doors actually. Now most cars have the handle somewhere here as a groove and you push it out and you pull it back in, but this gives it a rather chunky and a sporty feel. You have your typical controls here for the windows and for locking and unlocking the car. The build quality is extremely nice. The materials used are very good. I mean, driving over potholes, there were no rattles at all in the car apart from whatever stuff that we had kept in the car that was moving around, but nothing from the body or the interiors at all. The dual tone finish here looks very premium, and it's now pretty much standard across all cars, but it's nicely done here. The central console, you really can't get lost in it. Coming back to this one for a minute, it's all very nicely laid out throughout, so you can't get lost in this particular console. In terms of headroom, I'm a pretty tall driver and I've had absolutely no space in terms of headroom. Now this seat is pretty far back, and still there is quite a good amount of leg room at the back. Good headroom as well, despite the low roof at the back. So that should not be a problem for your passengers. 2 should sit comfortably, 3, well, maybe if the people are not very healthy. In terms of driving, well, let me come back to that for a minute. It's a 1.6 liter engine, so this has a lot of going power. The pickup is absolutely superb, so in the beginning, when you're getting used to this car, in stop-start traffic, just be a little careful of how quickly you release the brake and how quickly you get the throttle back into action. The Dsg Gearbox, let me just come back to that for a minute before I sign off. This gearbox is a first in the segment. Now, what makes it different is the fact that this is essentially 2 gearboxes in one. One shaft takes care of one alternate set of gears, the other shaft takes care of the other alternate set of gears, and there are 2 clutch there. What this does is the gear shifting is quicker. In stop-start traffic particularly, it's quicker, and even if you're zipping along 50, 60, 70, 80 quickly, the gear changes assist in that speed build up without there being any lag. Now, as a driver driving an automatic, you really don't need to be worried about what gear the car is in, but let me just give you a demonstration of how it works. So before you start the car, you press the brake pedal. That's pretty much standard across all automatics, I guess. There's this little button here that you need to press, if you can see the button moving. You press this, and that's when the modes change. You need to press, and that's when the modes change. I'll just show you how it works. For that, I need to switch on the car. Again, the brake is pressed, and I'm switching on the car. It switches on, the console lights up. Incidentally, for this console, before I get back to the gears, this thing, the moment you unlock the car and you decide to enter the car, you will find that this thing is illuminated for about a minute or so, even if you have not put the key in or started the car. That's an interesting feature for you to immediately know how much fuel you have, for example, or what the time is, for example. Now, getting back to the gearbox bit, the brake is pressed there. Now, it's currently in the parking mode. P is the parking mode. You press this little button here. Now it goes into reverse. That's the rear sensor telling me there's not much space to go back. This is the neutral mode. The moment I push it down, this is the drive mode, and this is the S mode, the sport mode, which kind of quickens up the response. Now in drive mode, there's the manual mode. Up for up, down for down, move up. Now when you're using this mode, you push up the gear, it moves up, but the gearbox the lever kind of rolls back into position. That can be a little disconcerting, but don't let that affect you. Very convenient car to drive. Again, coming back to a comparison with the i20, as in the driver's position, the viewing is a little less. Now in the i20, this dashboard is a little lower. There is a part of that dashboard where you have parts of this display, the music system display, sitting somewhere here, and a part of this display sitting somewhere here, but the dash is a little lower overall, so maybe it's just about getting used to. It'll take some time for me to get used to this. While there's no problem with the visibility per se, it's just about kind of you getting used to how much of the road you can see. In terms of cabin space, it's pretty much at par with the i20, apart from the slightly lower roof. Then again, that's something that you get used to. This is not a problem at all in the Polo. I personally am used to seeing a bit of this display and a bit of this display somewhere here. This is again the more conventional way that Volkswagen have put it, so again something that I need to get used to again. Lots of spaces to keep your stuff. There are two holders here to keep your cup or a can of Coke, whatever you want to have when you're driving. Space here for the phone, another little hole here, but this thing is not very deep, so I don't think this will be useful for keeping any cups or glasses any which ways. Two little spaces here for you to keep something. I've kept the phone here. Again, this is not very deep, so you can't keep anything that's going to move around a little bit. More space for your bottle or whatever here, and a little bit of space here for the phone or something. Same amount of space on the other side of the door and on the doors at the back. So all in all, this thing has a lot of space for your stuff. This, again, a lot of space here. Now I've kept all the manuals and the paperwork in this little bay over here, so the rest of the space, quite deep, is all available for you to keep your stuff in. Very nicely built car overall, and you will read more about the details in terms of performance in our detailed review on the website. This is me signing off from my first car video ever for thinkdigit.com.